Dude, this is it. This is it. This is the last part of the iceberg that I've been putting off for a long time because I'm fucking lazy. I'm very excited. I wish I could say shit gets real, but in all honesty, shit just gets very obscure and weird. Like I said in the last vids, if any topic is not safe for work or life or anything like that, I'll just make sure to make the title like a red color. So you know if you want to skip it ahead or if you want to like brave through it. Let me also add that halfway through researching this, someone said that the iceberg itself, or like part 6 of the iceberg, is actually like a joke, and that a lot of the stuff on it is like joke stuff. Take it with a grain of salt, but it's cool nonetheless. Starting off with camera heads. It's kind of a strange one to get into. I think most people have basically heard it around, right? The initial creepypasta is lost, and I'll get to that in like a second. But first, the basis for this whole thing is a 4chan post, and it goes like this. What's a camera head? I was walking home through a nearby gully I don't know what a gully is. And came across a weird stack of rocks and a torn envelope with some writing on it. It appears to have been written in charcoal or ash. It said, I killed a camera head. And on the next line, it took Trevor. And then the last line, get help if I don't come back. And there was a mini DV nearby. This was all that was on it besides static, though I had to watch it a few more times before I found this clip. Who took this video? A camera head sounds really silly if it's a monster with a camera for a head. Now that's all there was on this actual post. There wasn't actually like a video attached. Like, I mean, it kind of says that there should be. But on YouTube, around the same exact time, I think it was August, and it was like 2009. So there were the YouTube video and this post went up at the same time. Obviously, the video went up on YouTube. This one went up on 4chan. So this is most likely the video that was shown, and it has like static. It's like I think it's like an 8-minute video, and it has like static, and then like a little clip that I'm guessing the person was talking about, and then the rest of the static. I'll put it up here really quickly, but yeah, it's pretty creepy. Now, the reason I said this creepypasta is lost is because it was uploaded to the paranormal part of 4chan, but that was before they rebranded. Basically, the threads were getting harassed and the interest was dwindling. So basically, they just like deleted the whole thing and then they started over. And of course, deleting several of the creepypastas along with it, this one included. So that sucks. N-chan. As far as I can tell, it's just 8chan but worse. 8chan is already this like super hateful, racist, super pedophilic version of 4chan. And apparently N-chan is like the worst version of that. So you can imagine what goes down there. There's also this narrative about the end of time coming with like civilizational collapse due to LGBT movements, open borders, media indoctrination, mixed race couples, immigration, climate change propaganda, all of which are pretty obviously not leading to the end of society. But the board talks about those things as though they are. It's pretty crazy to think that we live in a time where like mixed race couples are still frowned upon, even if it's just like a little bit. Dark.fail is one of the many links used in the darknet to access essentially a black market. I cannot stress enough that every time I go on 4chan to find information on this shit, there's always one guy telling everybody that he's just like jerking off to like Club Penguin, and then he's like he links like a site, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I go on that one all the time, and I'm just like, that's great. Saint is a YouTuber who posted gameplay of really obscure indie games. They were mostly uncut, like almost no editing, and there was usually little to no commentary. I actually checked out the channel. I think it's the channel anyway. But it's basically just like this person who streams, and when they stream, it's like a few hours long, and it's just like a random fucking RPG from like 1980 or something. It's interesting nonetheless, and surprisingly there's actually a decent amount of people who watch his stream, so good on him. Kanyequest 3030 is it's actually a pretty stupid game, but it reads like an RPG with like the famous artists that Kanye associates with as the NPCs and characters. I mean it's not like the worst thing. I've seen like some gameplay online. It's like pretty cool. But the real mystery is with the ARG stuff. So apparently there's this part of the game that asks you for like your name and address, and then like a zip code as well. And if you decide to give it, it'll continue as normal. But it's actually just bullshit. Like it doesn't actually do anything. Somebody like dissected the game and the code, and they found out that it doesn't like do anything with the information. It just seems like it is. So it's not actually like scary or spooky. And the ARG is like unfinished. Most people think, or at least most people that have talked about this online, have said that what happened is the game has like the original gameplay, and then there's like this like online part of it that you're supposed to be able to do stuff on, but it was never finished completely, and for that reason it seems weird, I guess. I did not get a lot of sleep last night, so I'm just going to put that out there. Might be why some of these are not well explained. Let me just continue. WorldCorp is another one of those website ARGs, and this one's actually pretty different. It involves you downloading and using a browser extension, and from there you have to do the steps, or like you have to solve the puzzle from their browser. So usually in a normal ARG, all these websites would be available on either like the deep web or using onion sites, or it would be like Google and you just find the right web page. But this one actually all takes place on the browser extension, so it's pretty cool. Evangelion AUS 07 AUS. Well, in the end, it turns out that the DVD had just been taped over, for lack of a better word, and that the OP had actually gotten it from a secondhand store. And, apparently it wasn't even like a porno that was being taped over. It was just like a porn star's documentary, which I don't know. I don't care. Oymyo, OYMYO, is like literally the weirdest site. I don't know if it's another ARG or not, because there's literally no information on this. It's like the actual website looks like a wiki page that was made on like Microsoft Paint. And just every article, if I can even like call it an article, has like weird names, and they're all like, if we had 12 fingers, or the ground opened up, just random like titles like that. When I opened up the 12 fingers article, it was just like 30 pages of like word salad. The sentences that were near each other made almost no sense, and there was no coherent like a message. It was just a bunch of, it would look like if somebody was just text-to-speech wording the whole thing. The -I is, as malicious as it sounds, really just a piracy website. Like normal piracy, like movies and games and information, that kind of stuff. Not like the Club Penguin piracy. I didn't get the impression that it's home to like any like nefarious materials or anything like that, but I guess it's still like illegal to use, so still bad. Frazzledrip is this far-right conspiracy that there's a video out there of Hillary Clinton cutting off the face of a small child and wearing it. As you can guess, it falls in line with the whole Democrats are lizard people shtick, and I'm pretty sure this is identical to the whole Pizzagate thing, which if you didn't know is another far-right conspiracy that some pizza place is like a child trafficking ring thing and some bullshit like that. .close/.ellen was incredibly hard to find. Like, I literally couldn't find a single thing. I actually had to go to like the third page of Google, and it was like one of the last ones, which is insane. But apparently all it is just other ways to use the deep web or dark web or whatever. It's just like .onion, .close, .ellen, things like that. So Satan's Sphynx is apparently the CIA torture video that makes people commit suicide, self-harm, etc. It's supposedly up on the dark web somewhere that nobody can find it, and there are uploads of it on YouTube, but I've seen them and they just look like horror shit posting. They don't exactly make me feel anything. So I'm guessing that if it does exist, it's on the dark web, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that there's no video that can make you self-harm, except maybe like a few episodes of VeggieTales. Greenball, on the other hand, is apparently this snuff film that was made on the dark web, although to be honest, I couldn't really find any information on it. In fact, I even got a Google search that said, sorry, we couldn't find any matches, which is like insane. Like, Google never does that. It's actually spooky, because like usually at the very least Google will just put a bunch of unrelated shit on, like pictures of a green ball. But I searched in greenball video and I couldn't find a single thing, and it literally said stop looking. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop looking. But it's a snuff film, I mean, you get the picture. Despair Code is a joke copy pasta that has so many variations that I think the most general angle on this is that it's a code or pictures or a video that when listened to or read or seen will trigger an overwhelming negative feeling. And there's tons of variations on how and why. Like, there's some saying that it's some type Satan Sphynx torture video. There's others saying that it's some huge space monster that is like emitting space signals. I mean, you have something as general as that, you're gonna have tons of things. But it's pretty much just a joke copy pasta that was just spawned for the purpose of the iceberg. So Baby Burger is, I think, in reference to this apparent dark web video of a baby getting thrown into a wood chipper. and then whatever came out was used to make a burger. There's no screenshot or video or evidence of it ever existing, so it could just be another one of those, oh yeah, man, there's totally a video of this guy eating his own fingernails on the dark web kind of things. So, hoax. deadrabbitradio is basically a podcast about paranormal stuff and the like. The show host seems relatively amicable. I'm not really the podcast type though, but you can check them out if you want. I'll actually link it. And it goes very, very underground, I think. Like, I've seen some people talk about it online, but then I go to their website, and most of their podcasts only have, like, under 10 listens or something, so give it a listen. TimeCube is the most incoherent website I've ever seen. It's supposedly a theory on time and space and how God and the Four Horsemen are related to time being like a four-dimensional cube. But the whole thing just reads like someone had their extremely religious grandpa just talking to a microphone for like 20 minutes. I'll read some excerpts that particularly troubled me. Belly button logic works. When do teenagers die? Adults eat teenagers alive. And that was like one sentence. One day God was wrong. Einstein was oneist brain. Try my belly button logic. God knows about 4 days. It is boring to ignore 4 days. Does your teacher know? And that was another sentence. It's possible that it's also another ARG or another puzzle type thing, but as far as I'm concerned, it's just fucking weird. Kill Switch is an interesting internet creepypasta about a game that apparently came out in the 80s. It was essentially like a horror survival thing where you could play as either the character Gast or Porto, and the catch is that upon completion of the game, it would erase itself from your hard drive, and you would essentially never be able to play it again. There's a whole 4chan post about it, but it's like super low quality of an image to read, so I'm not gonna read it. But it basically just talks about the gameplay and the criticism the game received. It's a creepypasta start to finish. Although there are people who claim to be the game maker online, it's all bullshit and they're fucking liars. Jodi is a website that basically platforms a bunch of random images, all from different parts of the internet. The group of artists that made the page seek to show art that lives in the internet by having images from random sites and the like. It also aims to like describe the internet by like visually describing it by showing all the things that are on it. But a lot of the images here are either like 3D art or taken of random people. So I don't really know what's going on, but maybe there's just like most of the internet is actually just images of 3D objects and like random people. So I wouldn't be surprised. Bob, subgenius, I think this is a cult or an ironic cult. I found a subreddit that basically treats this vintage 40s character salesman kind of looking guy as like a prophet / a god. And I'm pretty sure it's ironic, but you never know because people are fucking insane. Solar Plexus Clown Glider is another one of those that doesn't have too much info, but this is actually the reason that I figured out that this part of the iceberg is a joke, because it literally was made just to be like a fucking part of the iceberg. So yeah, it's a joke. But going in lines with what it actually is, apparently if you read the phrase Solar Plexus Clown Glider or you hear it, you will, I think, get haunted by like a malicious entity, and then you will do a bunch of malicious entity shit. Apparently, it can also happen if you see similar images, kind of like that smile.jpg thing where it was like the wolf that was smiling, like with the Among Us smile. All right, moving on to part 7. We're almost done. Wow. Oh my god, we're almost done. This is going to be a short video. Sorry. This is actually where it becomes very difficult to look for info, just forewarn. So it's not as bad as part 8. Part 8 was fucking almost impossible. It's not as bad as part 8, but the descriptions might not be as in-depth due to low info, and I'd rather have everything be short and sweet than me just talking out of my ass for longer. So if I find anything that doesn't have too much info, or if I'm talking about it, I'm just going to say what I know and then move on. Part 7 is described as follows. Prophet. Ununderstood. Shady. This is the limit of researchable. Here falls stuff that lacks precise definitions and or medias. Let's do this. Wormhood Chronicles. This is actually a dope website. I'm going to say it. I would go on this in my free time. I like it. It's cool. It's basically like a cryptology wiki that with a bunch of breakdowns of the history behind cryptids, which I'm really interested in. There's also like hoax information, as well as like known evidence of cryptids. So there's one website or article that I was reading was talking about like the megalodon, the massive shark. And it was saying that there's like lots of these so-called people that have seen it or taken videos or pictures of it. And a lot of them are photoshopped or fake or not what they say it is, or it's like it just happens to be a big great white. And then it also talks about why it's impossible for a megalodon to show up. So while the website is hosting wikis for cryptids, it's actually breaking down lots of like the false information out there, which I mean they're cryptid, so I think just about all of it is. But I do appreciate the realism in the website, and it's pretty cool. Illuminati Order. I couldn't actually find anything specific about this. I mean, we all know like the Illuminati, suppose the elites controlling everything, and the triangle with the eyeballs and the stuff like that. But it being part 7 of the iceberg is ridiculous. Like, if it was something as like well known as the fucking Illuminati order that supposedly exists, it would be like part 2 or like 1, But no, it's tier 7, so I don't know if Illuminati order is specifically in reference to something else. Just if you guys know anything about it, it's just Illuminati order, one word, all lowercase. If that's in reference to something specific, just let me know. GGGQEP is a copy pasta that basically talks about some quantum computer, from what I can tell. I think it's like a joke copy pasta, how like people will do the fitness gram pacer test thing, except this one's just talking about somebody's computer and how they want to make it quantum, but it's like impossible or something. So yeah, that's what it is. 14 / is Vegas shit. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't really find much, but I did find something. Now this may or may not be it. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's definitely not it. So if anyone knows what it is, please tell me. But oh god, you know what? Never mind. I'm not even gonna say what I thought it was. It was just stupid. Just if you know what it is, tell me. I'm sorry, guys. I'll let you know. Worlds is in reference to the 3D chat room type game that's been around since 1995. It's like that 3D Rift Oculus chat room, the VR chat room thing, except it's like worse quality and it's not VR. And everyone's avatar also looks like nightmare fuel, but apparently has a very active community. It's basically centered around different dimensions or different parts of the world, and you can also have user-made worlds, and apparently there's like a schedule where people will chill, and there's also like tours of worlds, and when you do the tours, there's like literally like a bunch of people showing up, so there's like community event stuff. It's pretty cool. I'll actually link the if I can, I'll link the download below. Tor-chan is just like 8chan and all the other chans, except this one happens to be in a .onion URL. Sabinche Tomatovic is one of the worst things I've ever read. Basically, it's this Russian porn star, or Serbian, Serbian porn star, who apparently gets forced to have sex, you know what I mean, with this huge spider. Like, literally like a 4-foot spider. And there's apparently a video on it on the dark web, or the deep web, or whatever, and apparently also the name Sabinche Tomatovic is supposed to be like a joke where it means like tomato sandwich or something. Yeah, I saw something like loosely relating to that. Apparently it doesn't exist. I mean, obviously, how could it? There's been no recorded records of huge fucking spiders that are that big, and also the fact that like there's no evidence of it whatsoever, not even a screenshot. Another one of those dark web hoaxes. Mexican sugar dancing is an r/no sleep post from like 3 years ago. Really weird. It's basically some electrician who dabbles in necrophilia as a side gig, and he gets haunted. Also, I'm pretty sure Mexican sugar dancing is like a legit thing. Something to think about. Or I should say something that you'll never not be able to think about. Crystal Imageboard is basically 4chan but for women. Which, I know sounds dumb when I say it, because of course all apps are gender neutral. But 4chan isn't exactly a safe space. This message board is like a woman safe environment, although it's apparently filled with TERFs, which are maybe not worth it at all. If you know what a TERF is, it's basically like a feminist who hates trans people, because apparently trans women are actually men, so because of that, it's like seen as men trying to get in on feminism or something, which is, I don't even know. Shell Online seems to be basically a sort of chat room that was a cover for human drug and weapon trafficking. I don't think it's still in commission, but either way, it's just another black market type website. I also couldn't find very much information on this either, so sorry. Olaf, is interesting as it sounds, is really just a gov program in Europe to deal with fraud and corruption in the government. The reason that this is probably on the iceberg is because the actual organization is a bit fuzzy with what it does and how it does it. The rules are pretty much like self-imposed, and they break them a lot. There's also the fact that the former head of the government was on trial for illegally listening in on phone calls. So it's either like Big Brother or it's just ironic corruption. Kanyequest is basically a horror dev that makes horror games based off like a horror experience kind of thing. It seems like your typical reverse songs and blatant horror shitposting walking simulator, but maybe there's more merit than what I give it credit for. Zenjin, this is on the iceberg, it's labeled Zenjin and then parentheses CP. So you know it's going to be good. Is apparently an anonymous who uploaded an album called Pseudo Scorpion, which is a really horrible collection of sounds and audio from basically, as you can imagine, Club Penguin. It's apparently like a real thing, and there might even be 2 more albums. One is called Disowned, and the other one is called Langley. And there's just some random info I found that this person is most likely between the age of 17 and 19, but that was also maybe someone else speculating it, or at least that's how old they were when the album went up, which was a few years ago. There was a little headcanon going on in this one Reddit thread I was reading that the second album, Langley, is named after, or like named in honor of, this Japanese pedophile, rapist, child abductor. And the reason that they think that is because this person basically kidnapped their victims in their Nissan Langley, and so it made the papers like the Langley killer or Langley pedophile or something like that. There's some connection there, is what they're trying to say. It's pretty much one of the worst things on the whole iceberg, just because it's actually real as opposed to lots of things that are either hoaxes or fake. And apparently there's even still copies of this album out there that you can buy, and they're not even that hard to get, but the places that you can get them at are like heavily monitored by the government to make sure, or to see who downloads them, you know, obviously, because you'd be a fucking psychopath. Saretonin phobia is another one of those online ARGs. This one isn't website based, it's more like a collection of websites that you need to use. It's puzzles, you know, whatever. 3301337.cf is a weird ass website that I do not want to spend any time on because it looked fucking freaky, and it looked like my bank account information was getting taken away from my computer as soon as I went on. So I left very quickly. Apparently it has something to do with the whole cicadas 3301 thing, which I'm pretty sure it's earlier on the iceberg actually. But I'll recap it. You know, the people who wanted to like make a bunch of puzzles to get hackers to like solve them, and that way they could recruit people for their own cause. The actual cause fell through, whatever. This is pretty much just one of the websites that were part of the main puzzles. I'm not actually sure why it's its own separate thing, but yeah, it is. And this one involves more math and stuff apparently, which... And the last one for part 7, Sunn 0, paraphrase, Bathory Erzsebet, sorry, is a metal song by the band Zero, or O. Okay, I'm just gonna call them O. O is basically a metal band, or a type of metal that is really experience-based. I was listening to the song this is actually in reference to, and apparently people said that the reason that this one is on the iceberg is because the vocalist was actually put in a coffin to record the vocals. However, the vocalist has claustrophobia. Also, it's like a really long song. It's like 16 minutes long, and the first 7 minutes are just like bass and atmosphere, and then the song starts. But it's not really like based off a beat. It's more like an experience, like I said. So there's just lots of stuff happening, and it's pretty strange, but very dark. It's actually a pretty scary song to listen to late at night because the instrumentals all kind of blend together really well, and it's very clean. In the vocal edition, it's like, imagine just like if you have a really clean backing track that blends together, and then just like vocals are so like in your ear. Like that's what it sounds like. Like it doesn't sound like they tried to blend the vocals in. It just sounds like somebody's whispering in your ear, but like in a screamo way. Also, as a final note, I listened to their other song, Helios Sophist, and it's pretty similar in atmospheric intensity, and it's like a 46-minute long song. I'm not hawking on them. It's just like funny to me, but I guess you can't exactly make an experience in like 3 to 4 minutes, so I get why the songs are longer. All right, and we're at part 8. The final thing. There's only about like 5 on this. 6. Wait. Yeah, there's 5. Wow. Okay. Now, as much as I want to get into the gritties, I can only really tell you a general idea about most of these because it's really hard to find the details. But I did try very hard to research these. I think it took me like an hour or 2 to research just these 5. Yeah, because it's literally just like one 4chan thread or one Reddit thread. 3 people talking about it from 8 years ago. Part 8 doesn't have a description, so we'll just jump into it. Sirkus is basically rotten.com, but more obscure. There's gore and all that sorts of nasty stuff, and it's actually very, very obscure. Like, I had to like look for one of those sites that rate gore sites that talked about it, because I couldn't find the site itself, not that I want to go on it, and I couldn't actually find anybody talking about it. except for somebody talking about the site that talked about it. So yeah, all I know is from that site, and from what I know, it's your gore site, but it's banned now. So yeah. Gisco is a microblogging website designed to work on a Tor browser or for the I2P network, when I have no idea what that means. I found a Reddit thread on it, and one of the users said it was great for posting images that they didn't want on the ClearNet. So that's all I need to know what happens on that site. SciBay is a website that was dedicated to science and biology, as you would assume from a website called SciBay. It's not really up anymore, and I can't see why, since it was just a science forum, and it was on the deep web, and I know for a fact that isn't regulated very much. Apparently, someone on a 9-year-old Reddit thread had visited the site, and they said that the chemistry was how to make meth, and the biology was how to grow shrooms, so it sounds more like a DIY drug encyclopedia. FWD7, now I might have this wrong, because I'm pretty sure I've seen this in another video of someone else, but from what I've researched, FWD7 is in reference to a Yahoo spam message that sends you a picture of a dead body. Also, the only Reddit source I found that directly talked about this had a bunch of bots saying that the user's replies were blocked because of low karma, so the mystery of FWD7 dies with them. Although more than likely it was just like a bored incel who made like a Yahoo bot thing. So in contrast to the other ones so far, this one actually has a lot of theories, and this is the one I found the most info on. There's a main story and a few lesser known ones. The main one is that a Memphis rap group allegedly murdered a kid, and they used the sounds of his murder, screaming, etc., as a backing track for their song. It's been debunked though, so that theory is out. The 3 smaller theories are more interesting though. The first one is that a missing kid's phone was found with nothing but a single audio file on it, that file being rap.mp3, and apparently when you listen to it, it induces like a state of self-harm or some sort of subliminal messaging thing to make you do crazy shit. So that's the first theory. The second theory is that there's a 13-second audio that every rapper uses that's called rap.mp3, and what it does is it's also subliminal messaging to make you like the song. So it's not like nefarious, it's just like some unheard mind control thing that you can put over any song and it'll instantly make people like it. The final theory is basically that there are 8 different rap MP3s and that each song is a narration of the murders committed by each of the artists that it's talking about. Between all those theories, I don't know if there's necessarily anyone that's more believable. I feel like this is just made up bullshit. And the very last thing in the iceberg is a quote that says, "Real darknets aren't accessible to the average channer." Pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, if you're average internet user, you're not going to know about a bunch of deep shit. And the internet is basically an ocean. Got deep parts, shallow parts, and most of the stuff that's really deep and dark is like, you know, lying below. Very hard to access. And that's all for this video and this iceberg. I want to do more. I like icebergs. They're fun because I get to research them for like fucking hours. Like literally, like this part of the iceberg took me like 12 hours to research. So I do like doing it. It's really fun. I also like recording it. Editing it is And if you have any more iceberg ideas you want me to do, or any just topics you want me to cover, go ahead, drop them below. It's pretty much all I have. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.